most important issues that if we can save these, then we can build for other things. Or maybe not the most important things, but the things that we can win that will preserve the
Others.
most important freedoms the longest. And the ones that they've targeted, at least I know Utah Eagle Forum's target right now for the legislature coming up, are Common Core, because that destroys certainly our freedom in this next. There's no way people can send their children to public school or any school if they wanted to, you know. So that, and then the anti-discrimination laws that are they're going
Are those-
after our religion. Yeah,
Yeah.
And those are tied to the,
Yeah.
homosexual rights.
It's a
yeah,
hoax.
Yeah.
to the same-sex marriage, all the
And
same.
just being able to declare, today I feel like I'm a man and therefore they need to let me go be in the men's locker room and all, and in schools, public schools, right? That's where it's at. It's happened, was it?
Well, and now
Massachusetts.
with this Manning guy in the prison, same thing.
Yeah. But
Like,
because those
seriously?
tie to our religious liberties, those are the two they targeted. So for me, for myself, my time is so crowded that I've got to know, I've got to have action items, I've got to have a daily notice, I've got to know what to do then. And what's nice, and I think Skylar's experienced this too, is there's so many groups that are rising all over the country, and some of them are off shooting here and shooting there, but a great number of groups are saying this wonderful coalition now has this groundswell of strength. And we felt it when we were up at the state capitol for the celebration of the family. And we had the, I told you about it, the galleries were lined with all the homosexual rights advocates, and down here it was all these other people, but with all the groups that came together to put that on, it was Utah Eagle Forum, John Birch Society, then the marriage, Utah Families, and all these groups. We knew that we were there, organized with a plan, and knew where to take the next step. Even if the crowds were roaring, even if the big sign fell down from the rafters, Mormons for gays, that type of thing, So I think that's the important thing, is to associate, make a decision, associate, and to make sure that association is joined in this great, growing network of people. I think it's good to listen to some of the talk show people. I haven't listened to Glenn Beck, but Glenn keeps hanging in there and doing more and more things.
Yeah, he's not assassinated yet.
Yeah, he's had to move to Texas.
Just wonder when that'll happen.
But still, some of those people are starting to say, let's link together. Let's not just be loose cannons out there talking and whooping up the crowd. Let's get a plan. So I think good things are happening on that score. So
I like this, that every one of us who've said what we can do takes it from a little bit different angle, and it tells me there's a lot of different things that we can do. That will be little or big, or start little and then get bigger. But I hear that and I think, oh, I don't think I can associate, because I just don't think I'm not going to be following these organizations, and I'm certainly not going to go to a lot of meetings with my
I went to John Birch
daughters
Society
and my newborn.
once, and I was so overwhelmed that I just went home.
And yet,
I kept doing what I was doing, because I went there and I wanted to do everything that they were talking about, but there was no way it was going to happen in my life.
And
Well,
so, but there's
there's
just so many
slides.
different ways that we
couldn't.
can influence for liberty, all of these ways. We
Yeah.
really can do our little something. And so for each one of us, we just got to figure out which way it's ours, and it's going to be a little bit different.
And we talked about this in one of our first meetings, how we all have different gifts and we all have something that strikes us as the most important, and how grateful we are for that, right? Or we'd be toast if we didn't all have those different.
Well, you have different times in your life too.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Kids grow up, they're gone, and then you're sitting going, what am I going to do with my life now?
Now I have to
We haven't come across that yet.
They haven't run out.
That's the
I haven't been bored since I was 12.
But I think that's such a great point, is that and just another talk we just read and watched was Marvin J. Ashton, The Many Gifts. Each of us were given different gifts for the benefit of all. And so we do have to find our own place and what works for us. And we can, and we should, because whatever our mission is for the benefit of all.
I think Bonnie's doing a big thing by just homeschooling.
Oh, yeah.
That's.
She
Well, that's
hasn't joined
fantastic.
public
I didn't know
school.
that. But,
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, that's
And,
fantastic.
I can't do public, because I talked to Kathleen, see.
Oh,
A few
yeah.
years ago, I talked to Kathleen, well, I've been talking to Kathleen for years, but then
Your mother raised
after
you.
that, I know,
Yeah, that's the
between the
reason.
two of them, there was just no way to do
Yeah.
public school.
And I'm glad I didn't have to do this.
And read this, Bonnie, it will make you
Yeah,
absolutely
my kids will never
sick.
set foot.
Sick, just like going
Yeah.
to the door and
The
telling
more
them.
I know
I
about
mean,
public
they make that choice when they're older.
So, the more I'm so
I would
grateful
never.
that we never went
I
there.
don't
It's
blame
taken
you,
off the
but
reading list for literature.
some people just don't know how to approach educating their own kids too. It's overwhelming. By the way, how many
I can't go
votes
there.
were you away from making the cut? Do you know?
Okay, so I got 1,310 votes.
Yeah.
It was ninth.
Nice.
Smart people
Yeah.
there are.
So ninth of 13.
But how many votes were between you
830.
and David Spencer?
830, I believe it was. Or it might have been, that might have been actually before they counted all the
The
but it was
absentee
around
votes.
800. It was around 800.
Was
yeah.
that before the absentee vote?
Yeah, because like the night of election night, I was actually under Claude Richards, but I actually had more votes than him. But they
Oh, really?
counted
What-
after the provisional ballots. And so
What do you know about the PAC? Is it the PAC, I don't know, that from out of state, that
Well, yeah.
funded the big three, you know? Mary, what's her name?
Street.
Street Summer and.
And
Yeah, yeah.
Sumner.
and
Yeah,
McDonald.
how-
Oh,
because
Summer
we
Street
know,
McDonald, they were really talking.
we know that the payday loan people are the ones that took out Brad Daw last time. They are the ones that sent out all those lies about Brad Daw, put millions of dollars into getting Brad Daw out, you know, so I'm hoping they are
Payday
not.
loan?
The payday, yeah.
Why?
What
Because
was
he had
what was
legislation,
Because
legislation to put, to get
Tight.
control of them,
Oh.
because of the way that they were taking advantage of people.
Right.
yeah, it's such a horrible industry. Anyway, so I'm hoping that they're not the ones that are this pack that funded those top three candidates.
I
You know
can't
what,
find
I can forward you the financial statements. I haven't looked through all of them yet, I've only gotten through
Yeah,
Chris
they're on the city
Nichols.
website.
I
But
tried
yeah,
to
they're all
find them.
there.
I tried to find
couldn't
them
locate
too,
But
it.
they
Yeah, I
wouldn't
didn't
call-
call,
know
they
that
wouldn't
either.
call themselves
She-
payday.
No, it
Bonnie
would
has
be
it.
individual
She-
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
don't
a
know.
link that has all of the
Search,
number
search.
one filings on it.
Mm.
You just needed to come upstairs.
Yeah.
You couldn't find it, but.
Right here in your house.
Yeah.
Hey,
It was so
sorry
good to
for
see
my
you
birthday.
again.
It really was.
Sorry, I messed up my birthday. and that's all.
You too. I guess I'll see you next month if I'm invited.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
love to have you. We're so glad you came.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
And he can bring a guest, right?
Yes,
Oh.
for sure.
Really?
And in fact, if you want, I can hook you up to get the material. I can buy one of those.
I got the link. Yeah, I haven't read any of it yet. I mean, read through what they.
I mean, I know you're studying the things, but if you want that particular thing,
Okay, I'll check it out.
yeah.
Friday.
How do you know Calvin and Paul?
Yeah, oh my goodness. In fact, one of the reasons I'm here is because of them.
Yeah, me
They
too.
probably don't even know it. I worked in the Good Earth with their daughter.
Okay.
She left. She forgot, unintentionally forgot a copy of the law by Frederick Rossett that they had asked her to read.
Yeah, she was gonna
In the
have
break
to
room.
for the door 'cause you
I took an early break. It was in there, like, you know, I'm eating my yogurt or whatever.
She's got enough air to cover
Yeah,
all
she
the ground
picked
you
it up.
should never have.
I mean, you read the first paragraph,
That's
you're
the
already
first one that's
intrigued,
had to
right?
be
I just was drawn to it.
And I know Deanna.
So I didn't know who it was,
I know that
who owned it, you know.
I know that
You know what, that's what he looked like.
Finally, their daughter said, oh yeah, it's my book, my parents want you to
Dark,
read
and then it.
it. Could I borrow
lightened
this? Took it home, read it back to back that night. Could not put it down.
Yeah.
It just was,
I gotta go over to her.
Have you begun
There
your
you go.
journey towards learning this stuff, or is that like
Yeah,
the
see,
first thing?
I was open to things.
Yeah.
Journey for solutions. I found things that, I'd found lots of corruption. I mean, I was a cynic. I mean, I didn't trust anything the government said or any politician said, but I didn't know what I stood for.
Right.
I didn't really have that foundation of what I was for. Just I'm against the corruption, but I couldn't even pinpoint exactly.
Right. What's that mean?
The law was a huge step in the right direction, and I hadn't considered the Constitution and read it.
Yeah, who reads the Constitution?
Yeah, I mean, I was drawn to
Thank you, public
to
school.
Jefferson a bit, because I mean, I went to DC and I just loved Jefferson's story. I just felt the spirit in there. I just felt connected to that. You know, little did I know later on. I mean, how significant, some of the things he wrote and said would be. But yeah, anyways, so they don't even know it. They probably don't even know that story. But the law was when I started. Okay, I gotta read. I read Locke. I read Blackstone. I read. Proper Rule of Government, anything I could find Benson, because his name kept popping up.
Yeah. How did you figure out
H.
what
Willard Anderson.
to read? Like, did you start courses? I mean, I'm just like your
No.
personal
You know
journey.
what?
Like, how do
Amazon.
you just figured stuff
I
out
just-
on your own and
yeah, well,
it's all
I
yourself?
I just read everything I could about Bastiat. I found H. Willard Anderson. So I got a Proper Rule of Government because someone said, hey, you should
You
check
know
that
he's
out.
Hans Anderson's dad, don't
Oh,
you?
the first time I met him, like, your dad inspired me.
Yeah,
His
his
book, The
dad.
Moral Basis of a Free Society, other than the law, probably had the most profound impact
Yeah,
on how I
it's
think.
strong.
You know what?
So
It's-
principled.
Exactly. He's up there with any founders. I found George Mason. There's a series called The Founders Constitution that it goes through every phrase in the Constitution, and it does. They don't say really much. They quote anything the founders, quote the Journal of the Convention, anything they wrote on that, and sometimes on both sides. So you'll have General Welfare Clause, whatever. You'll have both sides going back and forth, letters of the founders.
I know.
It's a great resource for finding out what they meant. And I realized,
to know all
wow,
this stuff. So,
But yeah, and
they were pretty close. I mean, not perfect, they were pretty dang close.
Can you say those again? Because she didn't get those written down.
Oh, the Founders Constitution.
Oh.
That is one of them.
We have that on our.
Do
We have
do
the
5
founders
volumes.
key. We have something else that's never mind.
Oh my goodness, it is. If you want read a book on the Constitution, that's the book, this series, because you're reading what they wrote about it.
what
Yeah,
about
that
the
sounds
Federalist
really
Papers? Have you
Yeah,
read the
well, yeah,
Federalist
they're
Papers?
quoted in there.
They
And
are.
all the relevance, anytime they are talking about a particular point in the Constitution, it's in there. Not just Federalist Papers, the Anti-Federalist Papers. I read those too. But
That's what's
if you don't have
in
time to just read and read and read Founders
I know,
Constitution, because they
There's
just
a lot is in my
They just
purse
put it all-
right now.
put it all there, and it'll even, it'll say, one clause, it'll quote 28 different things, just the relevant portion on that topic. And then at the end, it's like, if you're more interested, here's 8 others you can look up where they're talking about what they wrote, or a criticism about what was written, which is even more insightful. So, the term general welfare, I mean, they're like, 100 years from now, they're not going to know what that meant. They're going to abuse this. They were right. The Anti-Federalists were absolutely right.
Yeah,
And,
they predicted all of our problems.
George Mason, Samuel Adams, I mean, a lot of the most key people in the Revolutionary era didn't like it just because of that. They said, at least if you're going to have those terms, define them. And if they had, we would be a lot better off. So it's not perfect, but I realized the principles they were dealing with were. And so if you go at it from that angle, it's as good as we need.
And their intention was right.
Absolutely.
That's what's
intention.
so
There might have been a couple.
devastating to me is that they,
didn't.
there's people twisting it all over the place. But if you go back to what their intention was in writing it, it's obvious.
Yeah.
If you just read the words, you can twist them all over town. But if you look at what they were doing, what their purpose was, what their intention was.
Yeah. But you can't separate the two. It's even a matter
Yeah,
of contract
no.
law.
Well, you
can't
have, and
just
look
separate the two.
look where we are.
Yeah, they try. Yeah.
They've done a pretty dang good job, actually.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah.
separating from the intention.
Unfortunately.
So it's mostly just been self-education, everything fine,
I'll read it.
and you just caught this fire and off you went.
That's all I think about. Sensational. I probably should have let both do instead. I don't know why. I just want to get it. I want to understand more. I want to know how to fight back. I want to be optimistic. I don't want to be a cynic that just understands this and just doesn't know what we can do. There's got to be something we can do. Even you know, even if success is just being able to say I stood on principle and I did my best, that's good enough for me. But I think that's
And that's what people have such a difficult time with, is standing on the principle and
Yeah.
doing their best. As soon as someone someone with power gets a hold of them and says, we're gonna do these awful things to you and your family, people fold.
yeah. Fear and fraud.
There's a reason that the Lord told us to stand and be not moved.
Yeah.
Because that's where we're losing. People are willing to stand, but then when they're threatened, they fold, they move. We have to be able not to move. And I think that takes having an eternal perspective.
Oh yeah.
Fine, kill me.
Fine. Oh well.
You know, that
Send me to
is
prison.
not my,
Okay.
Go where it's
this
from.
life is
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
is not where this ends.
No.
This principle is eternal.
Yeah.
And that's
It's a test. This
so
is a test.
hard.
How are we doing? You know, it's a test. That means this isn't actually life here. This is okay. Let's see how far you.
And I think the
learn.
difficult part comes not with, this is what we're gonna do to you, but this is what we're gonna do to your family. You
Sure.
know? And that's
But,
more difficult for people to,
Yeah. There's some
without that eternal
10 scriptural
perspective, how do
stories.
we even go there?
Well, think about the story of Abraham.
Yeah,
He was willing to himself do the sacrificing. What are we supposed to do? I mean, I don't have kids. Like I understand. So I can't really speak from experience. And I don't have kids. I
but
have
it
a
was more
girlfriend,
than
but-
that for him.
But I mean-
He'd been on the altar.
Yeah.
It was more than that for him.
Yeah.
He was asked to do what his father wickedly tried to do to him.
And
Yeah.
someday I'll
And-
understand that story.
And, well, not only that, the son he's been waiting for his whole life.
Right, right.
The one that would be
But
his
he
inheritor.
understood personally what that meant to his, you know, what
Yeah.
that felt like for his son,
Yeah.
which made that sacrifice so much more difficult and personal and sacred.
Some of the founders lost family members in the war.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, for me, this is the battle. I mean, this is the one angle that if it's lost, we all lose. It doesn't matter who you are or what you believe or what religion you belong to or if you even belong to a religion. This battle's lost, we all lose. So
If you know or care.
yeah,
Like
but
we're talking about.
but seriously,
You
either
still lose.
yeah, and it's force, fear, or fraud. But we understand. Okay, we at least understand. There's enough of the people, and so few in the government. Force isn't really an issue if enough people are awake. So what do? They fraud. Okay, but then there's this other angle that I'm really discontent with, and that's the fear. Because there's a lot of people that are awake, but they're scared. And they're the cynics. It often comes through cynicism. You know, I've got friends like this. They say, "Oh, but there's nothing we can do." And when I bring up solutions, there's nothing we can do. Well, what do you mean there's nothing we can do? If you look at the Founders' Day, it's not like they had a majority. I mean, they lost almost every battle in the war.
Good thing they didn't say.
They
there's
had more
nothing
Well,
to
and
do.
there was,
fighting,
and we
supporting
already
the
talked
British.
about this, right? They were what, like 5% of the population
Yeah.
that said, this cannot be.
Yeah.
We will fight the English government.
Yeah, they didn't even have a constitution to fight on. They were just fighting on nature itself. Well, our battle's easier, so I'm
Well, actually,
optimistic. That's the thing. Like, I never want someone to be scared by what I'm telling them, and that's the thing. Because I was going out door to door talking to people. They didn't understand this stuff. They didn't understand the corrupt aspect of a lot of the people in government. They didn't understand what they're facing, and that's okay. You know, how do I? The message speaks to people because that's why we're here.